Good afternoon, folks. My name is Antonio Aquiana, and I work for the DC Department of Energy and Environment. I will be giving some background and introduction on the Green Jobs for Green Buildings Plan Your Career Now webinar. The District of Columbia is a national leader when it comes to energy efficiency. DC's goal is to become carbon neutral by 2045. This is a very ambitious goal. One of the cornerstones of this goal is the Building Energy Performance Standards Program. This program aims to considerably reduce greenhouse gas emissions from buildings, which in the case of DC represent almost 3/4 of the greenhouse gas emissions. Since buildings account for such a large percentage of greenhouse gas emissions, reducing the amount of energy used in buildings is critical to achieve DC's climate commitments. Benchmarking and the Building Energy Performance Standards, or BEPS, are the regulatory tools that the district is using to help meet these green building and climate goals. In short, just for the folks that are not familiar with BEPS, BEPS are the minimum energy performance for existing large buildings. We know buildings' energy performance through data reported by buildings themselves. As we speak, we're in the middle of one of the first BEPS cycles. As many of you in the building sector will know, this has brought large investments in the building improvement throughout the city. As you just heard, we're in the first BEPS cycle, which will be followed by a second BEPS cycle that will cover another 2,000 smaller buildings, along with the already 2,000 covered buildings. As cycles progress, the list of covered buildings will keep increasing, thus the market for green jobs. And DC wants to be ready for this growth in the sector. A couple of years ago, me and a few colleagues started talking about how we saw a need for qualified labor being connected to the market. We knew that there was a large need, and there was also a large production of well-qualified labor for green buildings, but we felt that there was a lack of connection. We talked to our grantee, the Building Innovation Hub, and we were lucky enough to find Julius Education, an entity with great credentials on career mapping. We set on a long journey and created not only a product that we're very proud of, but also we learned a whole lot in the process of creating it, this career map. We hope we were able to transfer all we learned into improvements for this tool. Once we formed this trifecta, this great team, the creation of the map has been a great experience. In my opinion, this is an example of a successful alliance between government and the private sector. We found a need that the market was not meeting, and we hope that this humble contribution will have transformative change in the lives of many district residents and the environment. I thank you for joining us today. Now I'll hand it to Yolanda from the Building Innovation Hub.
Thank you for that background, Antonio. As you stated, my name is Yolanda Bonner. I am the Associate Director of Building Performance at the Building Innovation Hub. Our team consists of Teresa Backus, who's the Director of the Building Innovation Hub, Mary Thomas, the Associate Director, and as I stated earlier, myself, Associate Director of Building Performance. Although we are a team of 3, we have a mighty force behind us, our comms team, who is also on the call, monitoring the chats, and we would just like to introduce ourselves to newcomers, anyone who does not know about the Hub and what we do and who we are. So again, we're the Building Innovation Hub. We are a project of IMT. We help building industry professionals in and around the Washington, D.C. area create and operate high-performing buildings. The Hub is a connector. That's what we like to call ourselves. That's who we are. We connect professionals and provide information, resources, and programming. The Hub's overall goal is to just meet those current needs of the building industry while simultaneously pushing the industry towards the innovative solutions that we will need to build and operate high-performing buildings. And one of the greatest needs is the workforce. Where we fit into the group of individuals that are helping to push this goal forward, you just heard from Antonio with the Department of Energy and Environmental Services. We also have DC Sustainable and Utility, also known as DCSEU. You will also see them linked into the career map because they do offer some green trainings as well. But they also provide incentives to those buildings in and around DC who are also trying to work to meet those building energy performance policy goals that Antonio spoke about. We have Julius Education, who again is our educational component. And then we have our community-based organizations that we tapped into, like CNHED, who are also on the call. We have Congress Heights Community Training and Development Center. So we're a connector. All of us together, we pour into the community, we pour into the residents of the DC area. And this is how we all work together to move this goal forward. I'm going to pass it along to Shakir, who's going to give a little bit of background information on Julius. He's also going to do a demo on the career map. And then we're going to talk about our phase 2 and what to expect as far as the career map is concerned.
Thank you so much for that, Yolanda. And I've really enjoyed working with you and Antonio on this project. And so let me just kick off with a little bit of introduction about Julius and then dive into the career map. So at Julius, we're really focused on solving the clean energy talent gap. I think we see the transition to clean energy as being one of the most robust opportunities for inclusive economic mobility. When you think about the jobs that are supporting this transition, they don't require a 4-year degree. And so we think this is really opening the aperture for who can be involved. But we see this as a ripe opportunity for the space to look different and be more welcoming to others. And how do we have more folks see themselves in this space? One of the surveys we always come back to with one of our main partners, the GED, is 95% of the GED learners are interested in clean energy jobs, and only 5% know how to get started. And so we're trying to attack that lack of information, that lack of awareness of what the transition is, and that's where we're working. And maybe to put a little bit more context on the size of the challenge, there's research out there on the US EER report that says 85% of energy companies are struggling to hire today. And that's just with the existing pipeline, and given the investment in IRA and bill, that's only going to grow and projected to be $9 million jobs of clean energy in the future. And so we have a huge opportunity to increase economic mobility, but we have to get this right. Right now, resource allocators think governments, companies don't have the level of granularity they need to drive investments to lead to workforce outcomes. And then job seekers are just, they don't know how to get started. Jobs are coming online so fast that people can't discern. One of the projects we recently did in partnership with the National Renewable Energy Lab is there's 100 distinct different jobs that sit under wind turbine technician. And it's all along the supply chains, from the people building it to the maintenance. And so like you can apply for a wind turbine technician at one place and it is not the same. So job seekers are struggling to see like what actually skills do I need to engage, and we're working to solve that challenge on both sides. On the labor market intelligence, a lot of the existing solutions on the market right now are either focused on conducting surveys, which are outdated by the time you get them, or they're using the SOC codes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics to organize. And one of the challenges that specifically in the green field and other newly emerging is that the SOC codes have not been updated since 2018. And so you look for some of the new jobs that have come online since then, they just get washed away or folded into a broader category. So when someone like DOE and Antonio saying, I need to know how many HVAC staff exist in DC that have heat pump experience, there's nowhere to find that information. So as more and more people come online looking for green specific technologies, the need for this industry specific LMI is just going to continue to grow. And so we use that to solve the resource allocator problem. But we also have a supply side. If job seekers don't know what's in demand, don't know what skills they need to build, it's hard to be able to engage in this sector. So we use that same demand level signal to inform job seekers, say, hey, these are the 70 jobs that are most in demand in your region. These are the skills that are highly needed by employers, and giving them a leg up on where to invest their calories or effort when they want to do workforce development. And just a quick example of what that looks like. On the LMI side, this is a dashboard that we put together that does clean energy readiness. So it looks at all the census tracts across, look at the planned investment by technology. So you'll see batteries, et cetera, going down, but also what is the readiness of the workforce there to engage. And so thinking about how that can drive investment and help companies think about where they want to place their bets. Then on the other side, where I spend most of my time, is on the job seeker side. So an example of some of the work that we're doing here, and I'll dive into the career map, but part of our what we call our navigator solution is how do we create some assessments? How do we create some career navigation solutions to broaden that 5% of GED learners to 55 to 95%. So everyone who's interested can find their way to navigate. And one of the key tools that I'll dive into now is the career map. And so the career map, we were able to build in partnership as a team. We used our LMI solution to be able to get a 60% start on like what are the most in-demand jobs. But we know that what we're able to see on the internet doesn't match what's coming down the pipe or what may be on the horizon. And so with the hub and their great connections, as Yolanda mentioned, that we were able to engage, I want to say 50 to 60 different local stakeholders. Think DC government, including DCPS, think local trade associations, community organizations, and employers to say, like, does this really match what you're tracking? Do you call it this? Do these progression pathways make sense? And so that was some of the conversation that we went out and socialized, and having the unions really weigh in and thinking about one of the things I'll dive in when I touch on the map is that we split out commercial and residential into two separate sectors. And that was at the recommendation of the unions. The union said we have really clear development pathways for the commercial side of the house. On the residential, we don't have those big projects. So getting that on-job experience is a bit more convoluted. So let me just dive into the career map, give you a quick orientation and create some space there. So when we build regional career maps, they're always based on a specific region, and they're separated into 5 subsectors. And so you'll see architecture and design, building maintenance or operations, the commercial and residential split I mentioned, and then sales. We always want to make sure that the folks who want to be involved in the transition but might not want to be on a job site can see themselves. And so that's why you see these two sectors on the outside here. And then it's also separated by entry, mid, and senior, with a special demarcation for the roles that require a 4-year degree. And then so a user can come here and say, I know I want to start off as a building maintenance technician. And so you can see the progression pathways, but also do a double click into this to get a flavor for what the salary is, what are the education requirements, work experience requirements, but also the skills and requirements to do the job. And the new addition to this is that, if someone comes to this and say, I definitely want to do this role, they're able to link out to relevant training in the DC area to pursue that opportunity, which I think is a huge ability for someone to take action upon doing this at this level of awareness. Jumping back to the career map. So let's go back to that building maintenance worker. You can see some, I guess, what I would call obvious progression pathways to a building maintenance technician, but maybe not so obvious to a cable technician. And you can continue doing these progression pathways all the way to your senior level. And then you'll be able to come down here and get a summary level of what that progression pathway looks like, which I think is helpful, but also have the ability to do some reverse engineering. So if you know you want to be a facilities manager, you can work backwards and figure out what's the way that's most aligned to your interest to get you there, which I think is a huge ask. And once again, you'll get that same survey. So it gives someone who's starting and may not like their first job, but can see a pathway to what that development pathway looks like. And so in addition to adding these trainings that we added on this first row for these entry-level opportunities, like I showed with the building maintenance technician, is we built a directory of all the training in the DMV area because we had to go out and do that landscape scan to be able to identify the training that was directly tied with these opportunities. And so this is another benefit or output of our engagement together is this directory has some priority training or featured programs here that you can click in and get a double click on what that means and what that looks like. But also there are, I want to say 1,100 training opportunities here that you can go through and filter out based on what your interests are. And we have different filter opportunities here on the left side. And so I think that the immediate being able to have those tied to the entry-level roles with what we're immediately solving for, but the opportunity to have this broader directory for folks to click through has been a great benefit of this work as well. And so I'm really excited to hear your questions, feedback from the broader team, and talk through phase 2 with Yolanda. But the one thing I would like to leave the folks on the webinar with, and to people watching asynchronous later, is that this tool is really good at creating the awareness and navigation pathways, but we have to get it in the hands of people who most need it, the people who might not think of themselves as being in the green space. So looking to the community partners, thinking of the Goodwills, the people with workforce programs, how can you use this or link out to this map to have your folks get a flavor for what it means to be in green before moving forward? And so I would love to explore any type of partnerships or engagements where more folks are being able to incorporate the career map into their program. But Yolanda, happy to pass it back to you if you want to open up for questions and talk phase 2. But wanted to give a quick overview of who Julius was and where the career map landed.
Thank you so much for that, Shakira. I am going to reshare my screen again to kind of pull up next steps in phase 2. So we do know that there are a lot of different entities that a lot of different pieces that we still have yet to add into the career map. So there is a phase 2 of this career map, and here are 4 of the top pieces that we plan to incorporate in phase 2. We would really love to have more vendor and contractor engagement. We are looking to create a platform for organizations to go in and connect with the career map, either by posting their current job availabilities, or you can find an individual who's looking to go over into that green side. I saw a question in the chat where someone asked, was the tool free? Yes, it's free, but we do have where we're asking everyone to sign up when you initially go to the page. Just create a little user profile so that we can keep up with statistics. And as individuals are signing up to use this tool to look for jobs, you too, as a vendor or a contractor or any type of organization, can go over and into the system and pull and see individuals who are looking for that line of work or looking to go into that line of work. We are also planning to incorporate a self-assessment tool. This tool will allow participants to input their interests, skills, preferences, career goals, and find their path and find their way in the green sector. The skill transferability tool. This tool to me is godsend. I even though my background is in facilities, I never thought of it aligning with sustainability or green or carbon neutral goal jobs or anything of that sort. So say, Shakira, I'm going to take an example you used on one of our previous webinars or calls where you have an individual who works in a bar and they feel they don't have the skills to align with the green job. This skill transferability tool will allow them to tap into that and bridge the connection and showing them what field in the green workforce they will be best suited for. So that tool to me is definitely a plus in this. And then we also plan to incorporate foundational training. There are still a lot of individuals, especially in those Black and brown communities, that just do not know the basics of this green field, of the green workforce. So having that foundational training just to give them a little insight on what to expect, what these jobs are, where these jobs come from, and where they can lead as far as economic stability is such a critical tool to have. So these are some things that we're planning to incorporate in the first quarter. Well, we're going to begin working on them in the first quarter of 2025, and we hope to have them done. But like Shakira said, the overall goal of this call is to get your feedback, your questions. If you feel like there's something else that we should add to this to help make this an even better tool, we would love for you to drop that information in the chat, or I'm going to also open the floor to have you guys speak and ask whatever questions it is you would like to ask of DOEE, Julius, or myself, and we can go from there. So the floor is now open for questions.
James asked in the chat of where do the data analytics roles fall in here? And James, I wish you were part of the conversations for us to get down to the 65 jobs that we landed on. I think we use the umbrella of green buildings and thinking about the built environment or the building envelope as our decider. So some of the cross-functional roles that I think apply, like a data analytics, did not make the top list, but there have been regions where we built, I think, multiple maps. So some of the work we're doing in Massachusetts, they have 4 priority areas. So we built a green buildings career map. We'd also build a separate map for wind, a separate one for grid or EV. And so I think there's a world where that falls. It's just, we had to make a cut. Otherwise, the map becomes a bit unwieldy in thinking about how folks will navigate it.
I see one question in the Q&A that just came in. Do you have any university or college partnerships in DC?
Not at the moment, but we would love it. We started at the high school level and engaged some organizations at the community college level, but I think the university level is well primed for that. And I would love to, if there's leads, we'd love to follow up offline to discuss further.
And one other question that just came in is, does anyone here have open discussions with third-party vendors on collaborative efforts?
So we have not started having that conversation yet, but the plan is to begin that conversation in this second phase. And if you are looking to be a part of that conversation, just shoot us an email after this call, let us know, and we will definitely add you to that list. But there's one other thing that I think I should also mention about this career map. We know that the base of most of the people on this call are from DC. But if you pay attention to the name of the career map, it is the capital region, meaning we've got training all the way down close to the Richmond, Virginia line, to the West Virginia side. So DC, Maryland, and Virginia all have the opportunity to use this map. And that's what the name, that's where the name came from. And that's what the goal is of the map, to be a regional aspect. So it's not just for DC. Baltimore, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Alexandria, Arlington, everyone is encouraged to use the career map.
I just want to say thanks again as a partnership from Julius, and being able to work with the Hub and DOE on this project has been amazing. And I just hope it's the beginning of a conversation to continue. I think some of the phase work that you, particularly on the front end, when we went out and tested this with folks, one of the most consistent feedback we got was, this is great, how do we start? And I think that assessment on the front end kind of helps you think about how a bartender can look at their interpersonal communication skills and thinking about how that translates to being an energy auditor. But this has been a great road, and I just want to thank everyone for taking time to join us today.
Thank you for the presentation. This is a great initial product, but I think that the more people get involved and the more we contribute into it and think about it and direct people to it, the richer and the better it will become.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Antonio and Shakir, Teresa, Caitlin, everyone.
Thank you.